Alrighty, folks, we are doing that weekly session where Millennial Mike combs through the comments and brings out the spicy ones, the ones that deserve more in-depth conversation. And yes, I am sitting in a two-person swing doing this, so Mike is actually recording this for us. So thanks, buddy.
No problem. Happy to do so. I just got the first look through Zuber's new house. There's a little lack of furniture in there, so I think that's why you're in the swing.
Exactly. It all starts showing up today. Exactly.
But the view was nice. The view was nice from the new house. I'm jealous of that. It looked gorgeous when you pointed the phone out the window. So, all right. So today we're doing our regular comment section Q&A where I pour through the comments and I see who asked a good question, who's pissed off and angry, who needs to be slapped down, who needs to be propped up. So I figured, you know what? Why not start out with just a little bit of spice? This week, you, the lumberjack, and Dion decided for whatever reason to just go after Dave Ramsey, who we all know is just the bastion of sound, reasonable, intelligent real estate advice. And I can't understand why you would ever confront this man. So somebody came to Dave Ramsey's defense in the comments. This is Marco Bello 5842 who says, what also makes me cringe is Dave saying that you need to purchase your first rental in cash. Oh, wait, that's not his defense. Yeah, so one of the things that maybe didn't get mentioned was some of the other advice. So I wanted to ask you, Mike, what is your opinion about getting started investing in real estate by following Dave's advice of buying all cash and not using leverage?
So let me just say this. Dave Ramsey has helped more people improve their financial situation than I could ever dream of. That said, if you look at Dave Ramsey's real estate investing history and mine, I think it's clear which one is better. And if you don't know this, Dave Ramsey was a home flipper. And he was flipping homes with what was at the time 6-month variable rate debt. Dave Ramsey was a real estate millionaire. Unfortunately, he was leveraging a debt structure that guaranteed he would blow up at the first blip of a market. And blow up he did. He lost it all. And that scar has run deep. And thus, he thinks leverage is bad. You know, all landlords are idiots. He did that video earlier last week. Mm-hmm. And I believe that if you do the work, you understand the market, you don't gamble, you don't follow hot, stupid trends, you don't follow, bigger is better just cause. I think we've proven here at one rental at a time that the slow and steady pace wins. And yeah, so, I don't think there's a comparison.
So I have one question for you. This is a point I've made a few times about Dave Ramsey's advice. I've made the argument that, let's say it's 2012. You're buying at the best time you can possibly buy. Recession's over, things are bottomed out. And you say to yourself, I want to follow Dave's advice. I'm going to buy a $200,000 house in the Seattle area, in the California area, in the Florida area, in the pick your market. I'm going to buy a $200,000 house as a rental, but I don't have $200,000 today. I have enough for a down payment, but I don't have $200,000. Well, let's say that you are significantly above average. I'm talking way above average, and you're able to save $30,000 a year. Yeah. How many years does it take you to save $200,000? It takes you 6.5 years to get there. Well, from 2012 plus 6.5 years, you're now at 2018. That $200,000 house is now a $500,000 or $600,000 house in all of the markets I listed. So the point that I make is that if you follow his advice and you're investing anywhere except for Gary, Indiana, you're chasing a goal you can't catch. It just continually moves further away from you, and you miss out on the appreciation. So what do you think?
No, you're absolutely right. If you really did that in 2012, you'd still be chasing up the hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. And, you'd have some cash in the bank. That'd probably feel good, right? But you have no leverage. You didn't get any of the appreciation. If you do it right and you run the numbers and you're conservative, inflation is your friend, right? There's a guy that has a shirt that says, inflation makes me rich. Ask me how. Mm-hmm. And anybody think inflation's going to zero or something? It's inflation is part of the system. Mm-hmm. And once you understand the rules, you can complain about the rules of the game, or you can use the rules of the game. Right. I know which one I do.
All right, we'll move away from Dave Ramsey, who, like you, I agree, has helped many people, and I am a fan, but his real estate advice irks me. Okay. So let's talk about the forced sellers that are absolutely coming our way. This comment comes from Country Kid 6334. He says, people are not selling their 2% rate homes right now because they don't have to. Correct. What will happen when they're forced to? The economy is getting super scary. The job market and student loans are what are going to force people to sell. The U.S. credit rating just went down, and that's the start of the fall. So, Mike, do you agree with Country Kid? Do you think that's the start of forced sellers coming our way?
No, I mean, this is an individual. I don't know who it is, obviously, but I've seen enough of these comments over the years. They've come from a Crash Bro or a Doomer channel, and they are constantly being fed doom. So they just parrot these things without any context. Let me ask you this, Mike, if you had to sell your duplex that you live in, would you live in your car? I mean, that's the choice, right? I mean, that's what this guy's saying, right? The reality is that one of the reasons that prices haven't come down is that 89% of the debt that consumers have in the United States is fixed. The largest debt that we all have is mortgage debt. 90, depending on what article, 95, 97% of the debt's 30-year fixed. 87% of it's below 6%. I mean, it's just, our debt is fixed. Our debt is less than rent. So I don't know where the only option for these people is like, I'm going to have to sell my house and live in my car. Because the other option is you rent, and your rent's going to be more. So this is just somebody who's caught in an utter doom loop, who either extracts themselves or will do nothing and get left behind. I mean, I see enough of these. I mean, frankly, there's been people calling for a house like 3 years ago. I put out, or 2 years, I guess it was 3 years ago. I said, housing crash is coming, 40% crash in transactions. And you all are going to be pissed off at me because prices aren't coming down. And the hate I got from all of these Crash Bros viewers was out of this world. Well, guess what? 3 years later, who was right? Who made some money? Who still lives in their mom's basement? Who's still a failed mortgage broker?
It's just another 6 months.
Just stop it. Stop it.
So speaking of Crash Bros, we did actually get a video sent to us this week about a brand, well, I don't know if brand new is the right word because he's got 120,000 subscribers, but new to us, a new Crash Bro with some new
Oh no,
we'll look at that later. So stay tuned for that video in another segment. Back to the questions. 50,000 subscriber goal. It's nice that you're in Vegas. One of the things that's going to happen when you get to 50,000 subscribers is we're going to have a party at your brand new house. We're going to block party, make your neighbors hate you. So this one comes from at MD Charlie 969, says, almost to the 50,000 subscriber mark. Are you still going to do a meetup in Vegas by the end of this year? And if so, when are tickets going to be available?
So again, I wasn't really planning on, I told people the whole time, I'm not planning the event till we get there, right? It's pretty clear we're going to get there, and we're probably going to get there in August. So thank you everybody for doing that. My guess is, because I want to give everybody a chance to schedule, I know I'm asking for some time away, is it will probably be late January or February. Probably February if I had to pick, after the Super Bowl, maybe the weekend after the Super Bowl kind of feels right. But I got to get a location. I got to figure out size. There's lots of stuff to be spent. So probably, I can tell you right now, not this year. It will be January or February. I'm leaning towards the weekend after the Super Bowl.
Cool. And we will be, I imagine, putting tickets out for sale months in advance so people can plan and schedule and everything like that.
As soon as I put a deposit down on the venue, we will start marketing and putting tickets up. Yeah, you will have plenty of time. You'll probably have, if I don't give you 4 months notice, I failed somewhere. But yeah, as soon as we get to 50,000, I'm going to target a room somewhere between 2 and 250 people. It's kind of where I'm going for. It's going to be a 2-day event. Maybe a welcome reception the day before. I want to give the people that built the channel, like yourself, Anna, Dion, the props. I want to give you some time on stage, and that just tells me it has to be 2 days, and it has to be a party as well, right? There'll be some education and networking. I got to figure out a way to have some fun too. So lots of stuff to be done, but we're not there yet. You don't cash the check until you're there. So we're I don't know, 700 or 800 away.
Absolutely. So that means if you're watching this right now, share this or pick your favorite Zuber video he releases this week and share that one on Facebook, tag him on Instagram, whatever you need to do to get him. He's got like 800 subscribers away or something. He's really close. So just get him over the edge so we can start planning, so Dion can start spending. We know what needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So speaking of pissing off people over real estate advice that's always assumed to be right when maybe it isn't. Sorry, Dave Ramsey. We're going to move on to another video you did this week that ruffled some feathers, and that would be the fact that the core four shall not be infringed.
Oh, yeah.
You went on this week to talk about the core four and how you didn't like it. Well, Dion mentioned that the core four, because you didn't know where it came from. You're like, I don't remember exactly who founded the idea of the core four. Well, Dion said it was actually founded by Bigger Pockets, and that prompted Andy Lingle, 6646, to call you a Bigger Pockets hater. And then he and Dion got into it in the comment section below that, and I didn't want to just recite the next 4 pages of argument. So I decided to just come to you, Mike, and say, Mike, is the fact that you hate the core four or disagree with the core four simply because you're a Bigger Pockets hater?
No, I mean, I would ask this individual or any individual to go back on Bigger Pocket archives. And I was one of the featured blog writers before Brandon Turner showed up. I was one of the first 50 or so interviews by Josh Dorkin in his basement. I was one of the featured speakers at the original Denver Bigger Pockets event. I have one of the very few shirts that Josh Dorkin created that says, mine is bigger than yours, which is a reference to, Bigger Pockets, it's kind of pun intended. So I was deep in the Bigger Pockets, and I love what Bigger Pockets is doing. I don't like Brandon Turner. I don't think that's a secret to anyone. But no, Bigger Pockets is a great place. I had no idea where the core four came from. I just know it's another one of those things that sounds good, sounds logical, makes perfect sense, but doesn't help anybody, right? I see lots of real estate advice that helps people, do this or do that. It makes them feel like they're moving forward, they're doing work. That stuff annoys me. You proved it, in my opinion. It's not that the core four is horrible. It's just not the start.
Right.
I think of everybody, and you're going to see this on, I think it's August 13th, right? It's coming up this weekend. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to investigate a brand new market, and it has nothing to do with the core four. I'm going to go find successful investors who are doing it right in my market, and I'm going to absorb, and we're going to, because that's where it starts. Somebody in your market is doing it right. Go find them. And truthfully, lots of someone's are doing it right. So go find them. The core four is fine. It's just not where how many people live in California and going, I'm going to go invest in Ohio or Detroit, and I found an agent, this, that. How do you know? How do you know? I mean, I really do despise the core four. Had no idea it was Bigger Pockets. No idea it was David Green. Doesn't change my opinion one way or the other. But no, I'm not a Bigger Pockets hater at all.
I don't know. You sound pretty angry to me, Mike. I'm just saying. You sound a little aggravated over there.
I don't like advice that hurts people. Core four, 1% rule. Bigger is better. Syndicate. Trust me, you're an idiot. I'll do it. I hate all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. The 1% rule, or Grant Cardone's famous, you can't be successful with single family homes. You got to go bigger, better. All these types of things that people hear, they hear someone that they like or they respect say it, and then they just assume that it's right. And there's 2 things. Number one, someone may have a self-interest, and that might be why they're saying it, Grant. Number 2, things change over time. What worked before, like the 1% rule, may have worked in some markets sometimes, probably isn't going to work in all markets at all times, always in perpetuity forever, right? You have to be ready and willing to adjust and adapt. What I was doing a few years ago before interest rates doubled is not what I'm doing right now. You have to change your strategy a little bit. So,
amen.
Okay. All right, Mike, how's the second channel doing? This one's from Michael Rogers. He says, he's talking about your second channel. He says, it sounds like you know your why, and there's no need to change what you want to do on the main ORAT channel. But in my opinion, I love the daily financial news, but I never get to watch it live because of scheduling conflicts. The edits with the text on screen are helpful. I can set notifications without getting my inbox overloaded by all your other videos. And having the daily in one channel is great for me because I only watch about 45 minutes of YouTube a day. And you're half of that, or half of that's dedicated to you. Been a viewer and subscriber since 2021, a student of ORAT. I'm so excited the main channel is almost at 50. So, Mike, how is your alternative channel doing?
Yeah, so I think the daily financial news, it's an important channel. I think it has a chance to be bigger, frankly, than my main channel, and I'm okay with that. I've gotten some advice from Ryan Pineda and Sean Cannell and some others that are like, Zuber, you need to produce less content. Right. Sean Cannell one time told me and said, I've never told anybody else this, but you need to produce less content.
Right.
I mean, 6 videos a day for 5 years, you get 12,000 videos. I get it.
Right.
I thought about it. I'm not changing. I think one rental at a time, the main channel is amazing. I have 8, 9, 10 millionaires that come back each week to talk about what each of us are doing. I never know which millionaire, which discussion is going to spark interest. Mm-hmm. So I'm not changing. Second, I appreciate and know that one rental at a time is not for everyone. I know there's a lot of people that would like to subscribe, but get annoyed with their inbox fill up with 6 videos a day. I understand. My job as a creator is to figure out a way to get the tribe bigger. So I think you and I joked, right? The answer for me is more content, not less. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. I am not changing one thing I'm doing. I still do the 7:30 live. I didn't do it this morning because where I'm at, the Wi-Fi is not working. So I recorded and uploaded, but I will once it's running. And that's important to me. So the main channel is not changing. If you want the most up-to-date live raw session, turn into ORAD. If you want it polished, summed up, bullet points, that's what the Daily Financial News. And the Daily Financial News has a very good chance to hit 1,000 subscribers this month and might hit 4,000 watch hours in the next 3 months. It could be monetized in 90 days. My first channel didn't get monetized for almost a year. I know it's working. I get notes every day. I love this. I love that. The first week, Mike, I got feedback. Why are you changing? Why are you doing this? If you like Mike Zuber Raw, Mike Zuber Live, stay on the live channel. Stay on the main channel. But you and I have to realize that that's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. Some people like the sizzle.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to fight. I really do think the Daily Financial News, once it catches wind, could outgrow the main channel. But again, I will say it one more time. I'm not changing one thing on the main channel. I'm having fun every day, so I'm not changing.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very good point to make. I consider myself a connoisseur of YouTube. I've been watching YouTube since 2006 when it came out. I've watched many, many, many content creators just skyrocket to the moon. I watched Meet Kevin before he had 2,000 subscribers, Chandler David Smith, a lot of people. And your channel is perplexing to me. I remember we had a bet one time, and I bet you, I was like, you're going to break 10,000 before the end of this year. You didn't think it would happen, and it did. And I was right. Thank you. You're welcome. But I was wrong about 50,000 because I thought that was going to happen much faster. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out why, because I never get these things wrong. I'm very good at projecting where the trajectory of someone's channel because I'm just watched so many. And the only thing I can think of is Ryan Pineda is right and Gary Vee is wrong. In your situation, you did just completely befuddle the algorithm. It looks at every other channel and what everybody else does, and then it looks at what you do and says, I don't even know what to do with 25 videos a day and 300 shorts. Like it can't keep up. And so I think the smart thing is to do multiple channels. Most channels that I watch, a lot of these bigger channels that have a lot of discussions and longer videos and things, they break it into a separate clips channel and then their main channel. And believe it or not, the clips channels oftentimes have a meteoric rise that's way faster than their main channel because people just say, I don't want everything, or I don't want a 3-hour podcast. I want 10 minutes on this topic. The only other thing that I would say you need to do to help your channel is you've got to go back to a consistent live stream at some point. I think that would help you because people want to talk directly to you in a Q&A format, even if it was for 30 minutes a week. So hopefully we can get that back. We miss it. I miss it. I used to watch you while I was at work.
I like it. We will, I'll tell you this month, I'll find a way to get that in the rotation once, I get past this next month. There's a month or so of this move. So we'll figure it out.
Right. It's hard moving into a gorgeous, beautiful house out there with views of Lake. It's real tough just laying in your swinging chair. Yeah, we understand.
Yeah, I know. Sucks.
All right. So, okay. So this question, this one came from a video you did. So yeah, you interviewed a young investor who lived in a high cost of area living market who decided that it would be smarter to invest at a distance where the numbers made a little bit more sense. They're from a younger generation than you. And of course, people are probably thinking that it's me, but it wasn't. You picked someone far more attractive and far younger than me. You had Sully, the Lattes and Lisa's girl, on your channel. I'm only a little offended, but I don't blame you. And talking about the fact that she had 40 plus units at 23 years old. She retired from her main job at 23. Very impressive, making me feel bad about myself, almost as much as Cody, but just slightly less. But Mr. Balloon Pimp, great name, says, being ready to buy, I think, is a little complex. You could have cash flow and you might have learned how to do it. However, I think there's something to be said for life experiences and its value. If you're 23 trying to buy the world, maybe you need to first stop and explore it first. I think for some people, they forget the world didn't always move at the speed of YouTube. So the question I think or the statement I think he's making here, which I think is worth addressing, is maybe it's not that big a deal to retire early at 23. You should stop and smell the roses or live a little bit. What do you think about that, Mike?
I don't know. I saw that comment, and you never know when someone leaves a comment what their real motivation is and what their history is. So it's comments sometimes like that really thought provoking, but you never know where they come from. And right. I was left kind of scratching my head. There was another comment on that similar video, basically saying, "Hey, it worked out, but it could have crashed and burned." You're absolutely right. Right? She went really, really fast.
Right.
She caught lightning and survived. And not for everyone, right? If she would have done the same thing in 2006, it would have exploded spectacularly.
Right.
So, something to be said for timing. But, where I come down on this is take your shot when you're ready. And I'm not going to judge you for it. If you take your shot at 23, great. If you take your shot at 43, great. I don't judge anybody. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Even if you have a 6-figure job, if you don't think you're ready, you're not ready. I mean, it's not for me to say. So when somebody takes action like Sully or yourself, who is Gen Z, or she's 25, we should celebrate that. We should encourage others to, I mean, there are so many 25-year-olds and younger that think the system is rigged. We should celebrate someone proving it's not rigged. It can be done. It has been done. What Sully did is something that we did and others have done before us. So, I think people would be a lot better off if they just appreciated it for what it was and realized all she did was took action and kept taking action. And, good for her.
Yeah. And to Mr. Balloon Pimp, if you're afraid she isn't stopping to smell the roses, but clearly don't follow her on Instagram because
she's all over the place.
I'm vacationing again, and I'm helping the little sea turtles get back to the ocean, and I worked for 3 months so that I could vacation for 9 months post. I mean, the post just it makes me jealous. Between her and Cody, I just have to sit at home and kind of cry to myself a little bit. So no big deal.
What do you think I do? Right? They're both younger than my daughter. So
right. Yeah. Oh, good times. All right. Good times. Okay. This one comes from Tammy Grable. And it's about staying consistent and doing the work with luxury real estate. She says, this is what happened to us. My husband and I just closed on an ultra luxury home. We'd been looking for a few years and made many disrespectful offers during that time. The property we just closed on was on the market for the last year, but the seller and the agent wouldn't negotiate back then. About a year later, we called again and ended up getting the home at a discount. Plus, the seller owned 2 more parcels of land next to the home. So an extra acre, totaling now 2 acres. All with amazing Lake Mead views. Thank you, Zuber.
I'm telling you, folks, if you happen to be in that stage of life where you are shopping for a luxury or even an ultra luxury property, there will be no better time. There just won't be. If you can get a builder to take a 10% discount, buy down your rate from 7.25 to 4.99, and get 10 grand at closing, there's motivation in the luxury market. And what I hope people take from Tammy's comment is 2 things. She not only did the work, her and her husband, they took a shot, they followed up. They followed up a year later. How many of you wrote an offer on a property that's still available and you haven't followed up? Most of the deals that I get done, this is serious. I would bet in my entire career, hundreds of deals, less than 5% of my offers, my first offer was a deal. I don't want the seller to accept my first offer. If they accept my first offer, I didn't offer low enough. I want to take their temperature. I want to set the bar. The first person to name a price loses. So good for them. Tammy's statement is just gold. I wanted it. We did the work. We followed up. They were patient. If you're shopping in the ultra luxury market, you could afford to buy lots of stuff, but they wanted that house. And then they got that house plus 2 lots. Good for them. I just wish more people realized that doing the work is where it's at. Follow up, consistency. It's everything that is what I teach and talk about. So kudos to them.
Yeah, and this is happening in more than just, you know, your area. It's happening at above the median and the luxury home prices. I have a friend of mine who listed his house 3 months ago for 990,000 in Clearwater, Florida, and it's now all the way down to 770,000 because it just won't move at that high price. And it's to the point where I'm sitting here, I'm telling them, like, you don't even need to sell. Why sell at all? Just wait, you know, a few years, maybe the market gets better or rate. Like, if you're not forced to sell, what are you doing dropping your price 220 grand? But he wants to sell it. And that means those people out there, you might be able to get a deal if you go and put a little pressure on them.
Yep.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, the message has never changed. So from M. Williamson, 1945, she says, Michael, these old videos are very foundational and your message hasn't changed. She made that comment on a video you made back in the day when you used to sit on your couch, like 5 years ago.
I actually saw that comment. What's really funny, again, when you're on a YouTube creator, you don't really find your voice or your pattern for the first 6 or 12 months. She commented on video number 2.
Dang.
I actually used to number them. Number 2.
Wow.
And I love the fact that my you know, I may have gotten better or more articulate, but my story hasn't changed. What I teach, what I talk about is what I did. And because it's what I did, it's not what I read, it's what I did. Of course my story doesn't change. I know that do the work helps. I know that, you know, needs versus wants and recycling. I know what works. And thankfully, over the last 5 years, I've helped thousands of other people get started. So I'm not going to stop. But yeah, I love the fact that I don't know what it is, but in the last 30 days, I think it's probably a lot of the Ryan Pineda fans. They're going back to my, you know, first 100 videos, right, and they're leaving comments. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. Yeah, when you have 12,000 videos, very few people go back to the beginning.
Well, I mean, in their defense, you got to click on your YouTube channel, click on the videos tab, and just scroll. For a while, you need to develop carpal tunnel. Just scroll. Oh my God, this just ain't worth it. Just kidding. All right. Kingsley 3237 says, Michael, thank you for sharing this content and wisdom. I was inspired by your video back in 2020 and took action. Today, I own 5 properties and it's changed my life in so many ways. Please keep doing what you're doing and bless you for sharing this valuable information with the world.
I think I remember that video. Didn't he say he was 62, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't think that was this comment.
Oh, okay. So first off, for anybody that listened to me in 2020, did the work, took action, you're welcome. 20, you know, buying in 2020, you know, rates below 3, it was a really good time. You've seen 30, 40, 50% appreciation. Hopefully you have 30-year fixed rate debt. You've seen inflation in rents. You are living the good life. But again, none of that happens unless you took action. So I want to congratulate you for taking action, because lots of people heard me. A few people believed me, but only a few did the work. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And one more question kind of in this, or one more comment kind of in the same field as the other one. This is from an international buyer, an international fan that likes you. This is from Scholier's E. She says, hi, all. I'm an international home buyer from Belgium, probably the first one in this community. I've been following this channel for 2 years and bought 2 properties in 2022. The most important lesson I've learned from Michael is that you can always find a good deal as long as it's right for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you tie all these things together, thank you again for doing this. I mean, hopefully people should see by now that my message hasn't changed. My vocabulary maybe has, as we've named things. But do the work works. Real estate has cycles, lending has cycles, but something never changes. Doing the work, buy box, daily consistency, writing offers, follow up. It's simple, but, you know, everybody wants an easy button or, you know, something else. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep doing me. My job as a creator is to get more and more people to understand that this stuff works. So I'm going to keep trying. So we'll see what happens.
Well, those were all the questions that we had. And I would tell people, I would urge them to consider one thing. I would say, hey, if you follow these Crash Bro, these doomer types who we have a video we're about to react to in the next segment, if you follow these guys and you go through their comments, you're going to see that the people who take their advice. They're still sitting on the sidelines. They're still waiting. They still haven't done anything. And if, like me, you go through all of Zuber's comments and all of his videos, you'll see over and over again, just bought my first rental, or like that comment, I got 5 rentals, or like the next comment, I've now just got 2 rentals. I listened to your advice. I stopped tuning into the doomers, and now I've got this and that. And there's progress that happens when you watch this channel and follow this channel's advice versus the stark contrast of the doomers who are all still, you're right, that crash is coming. I'm just going to keep on waiting. Brilliant.
Yeah. I really wonder how many people have been financially mortally wounded by listening to these guys. Will they be renters forever?
Or
Maybe.
if they finally do get a property, is it going to have a 30% higher monthly payment than it would have if they bought in 2020, 21, 22 early?
Yeah. Sad.
All right, Mike, that's all the questions we had. We do have another video coming up in the next segment. So thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I look forward to it, man. I still can't believe you're willing to go through all the comments each week. This session is, people love it, and it wouldn't happen without you. So, Mike, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just if you type YouTube, Google, Instagram, Millennial Mike, I'll pop up. I'm lounging around on the internet somewhere.
There you go. Thanks, buddy.